like a cold quench of Dr. Pepper, 23 flavors.
Hashtag still not a sponsor.
Gotta make it happen. Come on, Dr. Pepper.
Gotta speak it into existence.
Well, you ready to, I don't know. I was going to say one of our normal things. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. You ready just to go? Ready to do this thing?
I'm ready. Are you recording live?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Well,
let's do it live!
Welcome back to Dad's Meet World Late Night. That's right. It's your weekly dose of 1995's top show featuring two teenage boys who love farm animals. I'm your host with the most, Dad number one, Brett, looking at this lovely 90s show. And joining me this week on the microphone, as always, is Dad number two,
Tyler.
If this is your first time with us, we are two dads who love to look back at Boy Meets World, a show that we both loved and grew up with that taught us many things. And as dads, we like to look back and just kind of see what kind of things we can still learn from it. And hey, we both show it to our kids and they both, they all love it. Tyler, how are you this week?
Is that what we're doing here?
That's what I was doing. What were you doing?
Going crazy, Brett. That's what I was doing. I'm doing all right. We are kind of super busy today. My mother-in-law just got into town, so we are full-fledged just madhouse now for the next 2 weeks, but that's okay because we had to rearrange some rooms a little bit to make sure we have more space. And I don't know if you guys know this out there, but babies and children both take up a lot of space and also use not a whole lot of space, so it's complicated. If that makes any sense at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do have a rant for you, Brett, that's a little long, and I don't know if you actually want to use it or not. So
what?
You can let me know if you want me to go off on my rant right now. Or
you go
just wait
for it.
All right. So the football season has officially begun, right?
Yes, it has.
You know, we had college games so far. We've had high school for different states are either multiple weeks in or just 1 or 2 weeks in. And the NFL, kicked off last week of recording, and there's been another Thursday night game. By the time this comes out, there will be officially 2 weeks of football. So who knows how this week went. But I have a problem with one person with the number 12. And that person is no longer in the NFL. He officially retired again, quote unquote, retired again. And it's this decision made by, let's just say, the media to dub said person the GOAT. GOAT meaning greatest of all time. And it never really, I never gave too much thought to it. But I've been seeing a bunch of stuff about LeBron James as of late because he may retire, he may not retire. And my problem with LeBron James and Tom Brady are the same. And that is, rules were adapted and changed to benefit those two. They would often put themselves in situations to be able to get the most out of their experiences with the least amount of actual dedication and time required to do so. And also, most importantly, I will never be okay with anybody saying someone is the greatest unless they themselves forced a really bad team to go from nothing to a championship dynasty. So if you take a look at the Bulls, if you will, in the 90s. In the 80s, they were garbage. Actually, their whole franchise was garbage until when Michael Jordan came around. Michael Jordan forced the Bulls to become a championship team. He would not rest. He would not stop until they three-peated. Did he retire and go away? Yes. And when he came back, they three-peated again. That is greatness. That is GOAT-worthy stature. Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps is arguably the most dominant and greatest swimmer of all time, at least in the men's department. Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, Tiger Woods. There are names out there that you can argue are the GOAT, but I can never accept LeBron James as the GOAT because Michael Jordan is the GOAT. There's nothing he can do now to stop that. And for the Tom Brady of it all, 2 of the championships he won, they won with last-second field goals. And I get it, that's part of football, but, the Bills were a field goal away from having their own Super Bowl and becoming a dynasty. Mm-hmm. So, you're you're a foot or 2 off from having a dynasty and not having a dynasty based on a kick, which should not be a determination of greatness, in my opinion. For the individual player. For the team, I get it. Great. You won as a team, although there's speculation of cheating, and that was well documented and proven, which the NFL did absolutely nothing about. So that's a whole nother argument for somewhere else. Tom Brady had defenses that were really good for the first 4 Super Bowls he went to. And then for the last ones, I would argue that it was not he who dominated the other team, but the other teams that would not purposefully do this, but unfortunately they would overthink everything they would do and thus would not put themselves into the right positions. They wouldn't put certain players in games. They wouldn't, use certain players the way they had all season because they're like, we gotta beat the Patriots and this is the way we're gonna do it. And it's just, at no point in all of their dominance, and I get it, the Patriots and Tom Brady went to a bunch of Super Bowls. They were always in the AFC Championship for quite some time. I get it, there's dominance there, but football is a very complicated sport, and it can't be all based on, say, just the quarterback making it happen. If you want to argue for a quarterback coming into a team and forcing it to become a championship team, I would point to, say, a Peyton Manning. I'd point to a John Elway. I'd point to a Joe Montana. There are guys that have come in and said, our team has to be better. I will force this team to be better. And guys who came into the league with already a solid roster and continually had a solid roster. And yes, forced them to be better, but you'd argue that the coach really was the one that drove that forcing to be better. And people go, well, he won in Tampa. He had an all-star worth of players on that team, people that took pay cuts to be on that team with him. You're telling me that these all-star teams that have formed around LeBron James and Tom Brady are equal to actually put together teams that are melted and gelled together, that are actually like real units and real family? Those things are better than, say, what the Bulls did in the 90s? I'd say not. Because technically, when you think about it, the Bulls three-peated 2 times with roughly the same rosters each time, plus or minus a player or 2, but the main core of those three-peats really were in line every single time. So, also the San Antonio Spurs, I'd point to them with more greatness than I would at LeBron James. So this is my long-winded argument to say that a lot of the GOAT conversations that tend to pop up on ESPN is a bunch of garbage, and I'm over it, and I hate it, and I think we have to suck it up and accept the fact that rules were changed to make people's lives easier and to make sure people, say, like the way that Brett Favre's career ended. they didn't want that to happen to guys like a Peyton Manning, a Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Eli Manning, they were fine with that happening to him. But certain guys they really wanted to protect and make sure they weren't crumbling, on their last game. So that's my long-winded rant of annoyance, of complaint of the two-headed annoying monster that is LeBron James and Tom Brady, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah. It's been one of those things that's been like in the back of my mind for quite some time, and I finally figured out what I wanted to say about it, and I got plenty more to say about LeBron James whenever basketball season comes up. But we're not in basketball season. We're in the greatest season possible, Brett. That's football season.
That's right.
And all I got to say is go Colts.
All right. Well, I just got back from
I was going to say, what's up with you, Brett?
Yeah. I just got back from a band show. We had 9 marching bands from the area that were playing. And so I got to see a lot of good marching bands, hear a lot of good music.
Nice.
And I got to see Abby and Toby both doing a lot of great stuff. My parents went. My brother was there. Yeah, just a lot of great music, a lot of great marching, a lot of good schools showing off their stuff. So good evening had by all. And
Nice.
Took forever to get home, but I'm home finally. And ready to talk about Boy Meets World and a pig.
I think it's about time.
Yes. So let's talk about episode 6 of season 3. This little piggy did not cry wee 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 all the way home. Eric is having aspirations of attending Yale, and wants Feeny's help.
One of my favorite jokes.
Meanwhile, Shawn decides to keep an abandoned pig as a pet, but Topanga feels that an apartment is not a proper environment for a hog. Will Corey side with his best friend or his girlfriend? This episode is written by a returning writing team of Mark Blutgang and Howard Blutman and Howard Busgang. Always do that with these guys. Directed by Jeff McCracken. Originally aired November 3rd, 1995. And currently has an IMDb rating of 7.5. And now it's time for everyone's favorite game show.
Best emotional damage.
Yeah. Tyler, what do you think the Nielsen rating is for this little piggy? Now, last week's episode pulled in a 13.8, and we've been seeing a mostly a decline, but kind of a fluctuation. So with last episode being 13.8, what do you think this little piggy pulled in the first week of November?
I'm gonna go with 10.8.
10.8. Boy. You went the wrong direction. This is a bounce back week up to 16.7. Yeah. Now, good looking people, if you don't remember or weren't alive, back in the 90s and 80s and early aughts, November and February were big months for TV, and they called them sweeps months. And so they'd try to get stunt casting and big plot lines and stuff. So when you see shows in November and February, that's where you really get your big pushes. So we'll get to a little bit of stunt casting later. But yeah, we had a bounce up by almost a solid 3 million viewers this week. So let's talk about this little piggy. We're going to start out in the halls of John Adams High, where Shawn is talking to Corey about this goldfish he used to have that he finally replaced, which Corey reminds him actually was a turtle. And, he replaced him with a pig. He found this pig in the trailer park gnawing on his Uncle Sal's peg leg. And, the peg leg Corey's worried that Uncle Sal's not going to be able to get around without the peg leg, but Uncle Sal was still using the peg leg. He just didn't notice.
Yep. Speaking of notice, Brett, did you notice that Corey's locker looks completely different this week?
I did notice that, yes. They weren't framing this very well right away. They blocked it a little bit sloppily.
Yeah. But no, it's legit like a big locker. I have no idea why. It just is. Like, it's 100% like a big locker. It's not the small locker he has throughout the whole time.
Definitely
it's a big
not
locker.
the locker genie.
And I don't know if it's just a convenience thing that they couldn't get the right locker or whatever after the whole locker genie situation. But for whatever reason, this episode, they have a big locker.
Yeah.
Don't get it, but that's the way it is.
We'll have to be on locker watch for next week, see if he goes back to the traditional size locker.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to be offensive to this episode, Brett, but this is legitimately one of those that's like, oh, yeah, this is the one where Corey gets the pig, and the pig's around for a while, and then Topanga calls about the pig, and they have to run away from the guy, but somehow they still get it. And this is also the one where Eric goes to the opera. Mm-hmm. Like, that's the episode. Like, I don't want to boil this down to just its basics, but like, this is just one of those episodes where there's not a whole lot of depth to this episode. It's also like not one of those episodes where it's like next thing. Like, I guess this is one where it breathes a little bit more. Like, this is the storyline that's happening. We're sitting in this scene for a while. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no. Shawn has a pig, and his name is Little Corey.
Yeah, and so we'll do a little bit of digging, good-looking people, just to so our podcast isn't we're at like 10 minutes.
We're getting into this thing. It's just more of a nuisance.
Yeah. So we'll dig into a little bit, but here we are. So here we go. Our first clip. I have a few clips here.
Shawn, I see what's going on. I'm spending way too much time with Topanga, and this is your oh-so-subtle way of showing me that I can be replaced by a common pig.
Come on, Corey. As flattered as you are, this piglet has nothing to do with you. Oh, come on, little Corey. Time for class.
Shawn.
Hey, it's the first name that popped in my head.
Oh, he's so adorable. What's your name, cute fella?
His name's Little Corey.
I can see that. Where'd you get him?
I found him.
Well, we have to find a nice home for little Corey.
He has one with me.
No, I mean a proper home where he can run around.
He can run around with me.
Come on, Shawn. Do you really know how to raise a pig?
Topanga, it sounds like you're trying to tell me what to do.
Well, it sounds like someone should.
Guys, lighten up. I mean, any way you slice it, it's only a pig, right?
Slice it.
Oh, yes. There's going to be some jokes like that, good-looking people. Visually, this is a fantastic moment because just Corey's complete obliviousness to what he just said is very funny.
Right. Well, and I will say this is the first episode where this is really a Corey, Topanga, and Shawn storyline.
Yes.
Like, we've had them do stuff together and around each other, near each other, but this is the first time that all three of them together are doing things actively all at once.
Yes.
And this dynamic. And this is a dynamic we're going to see carried through the rest of the show. But for right now, this is kind of the, Corey wants to make both of them happy, and the two of them are at odds. So how is he going to handle that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I like that they're setting this up. And so there's our thrust for the episode. Shawn's got a new pig. Corey likes that fact. Topanga completely has the problem with it. And so
Topanga is the villain.
Yes, Topanga is the villain of this story. So we cut to break. We come back. The pig... The pig is dressed for school, by the way.
Yes, somehow they found clothes for the pig. Okay, cool.
They found clothes. They've got a backpack. And, the jig's up. Mr. Feeny is on his way. The pig knows to run to the doggy door that has been installed on the locker, onto Shawn's locker.
How did they install that?
Janitor Bud?
So somehow they're able to do things with their locker to adjust it, but they're also able to get a doggy door into their locker.
Are we talking episode's going to episode, or are we talking a Goobwa level here yet?
Well, this is a Goobwa. This is
Totally a Goobwa.
Agubwa.
Yes. So the pig he just knows. He knows. He impresses Shawn. But here we arrive at the other plot of this episode, Eric.
Mr. Feeny, imagine finding you here.
I work here. What can I do for you, Mr. Matthews?
No, I've been thinking about school, reading up on colleges, trying to pick the right one for me. Huh?
Girls of the Ivy League. Goodbye, Mr. Matthews.
Oh, no, wait, Mr. Feeny. Have you heard of a college called Yale-ey?
You mean Yale?
Yeah, is that one any good?
It's one of the finest universities in the country. Eric, hear my words. It's no party school.
Oh, well, excuse me, Mr. Feeny, but according to this here girl floating on the raft reading the physics book, Yale rocks.
Eric, Yale has perhaps the highest admission standards in the country.
Drats.
Now, have you thought of applying to someplace more accessible? Maybe a state school, maybe a preschool?
I love Mr. Feeny's guidance that is at the same time just dripping in snark. Maybe a state school, maybe a preschool. It just, I hear this conversation and my mind immediately goes back to, your grades, Mr. Matthews, couldn't get you a Slurpee.
well, and this is a good topic of hand for us to get into, Brett. Eric is a great candidate for community college.
Yes.
And the fact that they're in Philadelphia, and there's no way there's not community colleges in Philadelphia, that Feeny wouldn't say to him, listen, you struggle. I know you want to go to college. Here's the best way for you to go to school and to test if you actually want to keep going in this. And that is community college. Mm-hmm. And Eric could easily do a class or two community college and also work. Mm-hmm. And that would fit for Eric, and probably he actually might enjoy that. Like, yep. I have a job I don't really care for, but hey, I go once a week, I go twice a week or whatever to a class, and I learn. And hey, I'm choosing what I learn, so maybe it's not that bad. But it's just this slight annoyance and frustration I have with this time period of you've got to go to college. You have to go to a 4-year college, nothing else. That's it. Mm-hmm. 4-year college. That's all we want to do. And so many people, myself included, would have benefited from going to community college. Because I took 2 classes that did not count towards my degree my freshman year, and I was paying for my full-blown private school education and literally didn't get counted for 2 grades. Mm-hmm. So it's just that frustration of this is a bill of goods that kids get sold, and people would be better off to go to, community college first and then transfer. And I don't understand why we're not pushing that more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, today we do. And yeah, understandably, 1995, this idea of community college, it was something that was, it's almost looked down on. Today, good-looking people embrace the idea. Use community college as an option to find out if college and that further step of that type of education is something that you are built for. Something that is for you. It would have been great for Eric, like Tyler says, like we say so many times. So Eric goes on to pressure Feeny. Yes or no question. How many people get into Yale every year? No.
Yale-ey?
Yale-ey. Mr. Feeny knows someone at Yale.
Oh, hold on. Before you keep going, Brett, we cannot skip the fact that somehow Eric has a catalog for the Ivy League girls, and that's how the Ivy League is trying to promote itself to get more people to apply.
I don't think this is an Ivy League product. Girls of the Ivy League does not sound like something that the Ivy League would put out. That sounds like something that is a completely different category by a completely different production company that good-looking people, I would not encourage my children or any of you to go anywhere near.
Yeah. Well, so it's just a matter of how distracted is Eric by pretty girls that all he has to do is see the logo and go, oh, that's where I want to be, is with those pretty girls.
It's
Eric,
on brand
there's
for
pretty
Eric.
girls everywhere.
There's pretty girls at Philadelphia Community College.
Yes. Every single town in this country, there's a pretty girl.
They're probably not on a raft reading a physics book, but they're there.
Yes.
Eric kind of gets the idea that Feeny's looking for a bribe. And so we'll revisit that idea in a little bit. And then we're going to go visit Shawn and Turner's apartment, and Mr. Turner's sleeping on the couch and, making out with little Corey while he's sleeping. We find out this is not the first time that he's woken up to the pig kissing him, because he says, you can keep the pig, but he's not allowed to kiss me.
Well, notice what name he's calling out as the pig is licking him.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Catherine, you wild woman. Oh, Catherine. I wonder if this is Cat or if he's dating a new woman named Catherine.
Maybe. I mean, my headcanon says there's a strong chance after he's on the other side of the school, he may pursue a relationship with her again.
Mm. That's very possible. Yeah. So Shawn can have the pig. It's all his responsibility. John is very hands-off with the pig. He wants nothing to do with it. He's okay with the pig being there, but he's very hands-off. He wants nothing to do with it. No responsibility. I kind of get the feeling that Shawn's a little bit miffed by that, but I can't fault John for that.
My other question was going to be, does he have a pet clause in his rental agreement that if he has a four-legged animal, he has to pay a higher rent?
There's at least a security deposit for a pet.
Happens to most places.
Yeah. I mean, there's at least a security deposit for it. And honestly, if we'll get into it when animal control is called. If the area is not zoned for a pig, I'm sure the apartment's definitely not. So, I mean, there's at least a security deposit. John's definitely keeping the pig there on the down low.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Corey comes by, brings a present, and let's get into another clip here.
A squirrel bank? But they didn't have any piggy banks?
Well, I didn't think something where you shove metal into a pig's back would be that appealing to him.
Smart. Hey, listen, I think I'll be able to hook up with you and Topanga at Chubby's later. Cool?
Why, you're gonna leave little Corey alone? You think that's a good idea?
Oh, yeah. It's all here and what to expect when you're raising a pig.
When to tell your pig about bacon.
Corey. Little ears.
I love Boy Meets World books. There are so many of them I want to read.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like a good title for like a brand new farmer, you know.
Yeah. And I love Corey's very thoughtful about this gift. No piggy bank. The idea of shoving metal in the back of a pig, not something that appealed to little Corey. Mm-hmm. But we do find out Topanga's still upset with Shawn keeping a pig in the apartment. Shawn wants nothing to do with that. It's none of Topanga's business. And Corey is not happy being in the middle of this. I don't blame him. No. I wouldn't want to be either.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good point for us to talk about the spread of when two people are forcing you to be in the middle of their own conflict. That's not kind of them to do that to you. And they're in high school, so I get that, and I don't blame them for that. But like, as grown adults, if two people force you in the middle of their squabble, you have to question your relationship with those people, regardless of what title is on both of them. And I will say that when my wife and I were first dating and she was getting to know some of my friends, there was a point when one of my friends was having an issue, and I just kind of looked at both of them and I was like, I'm not getting in the middle of any of this. Like, it's either you guys work together or you don't. Like, I can't be the person that, squelches the things. Like, I love you both, but I'm not.
Yeah, I learned a long time ago, good-looking people, when someone wants to put me in the middle of something, I am very quick to say, look, I am happy to listen to you. I'm happy to give you advice, but I am not going to take sides here. I will help you figure things out, but I'm not taking sides.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is both Topanga and Shawn want him on his side. And there is no side for Corey to keep them both happy, which is the only thing Corey wants. Because he's a middle child. And he wants harmony.
He does.
That's what we do.
Yeah. So we're going to hop back over to the Matthews backyard. Eric's going to meet up with Mr. Feeny at the fence and open that gate. Yes. And
official gate.
Yep. And he's going to try to butter him up. Mr. Feeny, imagine finding you here. I live here. Just like he works at the school.
Yes.
I was thinking about what you said about how you had friends at Yale, and I was wondering if you would take what it would take for a man like George Feeny to, look what Eric dropped. Aren't you going to pick that up? Why? Eric dropped it. So Eric's trying to bribe Feeny, and here we go, another clip.
2 box seats to tomorrow night's opera? Is this a bribe?
Oh, no. This isn't a bribe. This is me doing something nice for you, hoping that someday you'll do something nice for me.
Yale! Mr. Matthews, I will do something nice for you. Places like Yale embrace young people with culture.
I like what I'm hearing, Mr. Feeny.
Good. Then I'll pick you up at 7:30.
Feeny say what?
Feeny say 7:30.
Feeny say what? If that was cleaner audio, I would have clipped Feeny say what by itself.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty great, honestly.
I love how Feeny's turning this on its head for Eric, and he's gonna take Eric and he's gonna teach Eric basically through this whole thing.
Yeah. Well, he's basically taking his bluff and saying, great, you get to come with me.
Yeah, let's go to the opera together. Yeah. So Eric's going to go to the opera with Feeny, and we're going to head over to Chubby's in the back room where Shawn is using the pig as a babe magnet. Yes.
Okay, but everything that Shawn does is a babe magnet.
Yeah. He's Shawn. Yes. And we've got Topanga and Corey coming in, and Topanga is not happy. We find out Corey's been playing both sides of the fence. He was supposed to talk to Shawn for Corey, or for Topanga, and she talks to Shawn, and we find out Shawn's reading other books. According to the book he's been reading, farm animals make great pets. Farm animals make great pets. It's a throwaway joke, but it's interesting that this pig and his commitment to it has gotten Shawn to read so much.
Yeah. It's almost like when he wants to read something, he will.
Yeah. And we'll see it all throughout the series, but when Shawn is interested and when his passion is engaged, he will just throw himself into education in many different ways. Reading, writing, research, whatever it takes. And so we get the ultimate call. Topanga and Shawn are both putting Corey on the floor, pick a side, and Corey sides with Topanga. And we fade to black. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
And we come back, and we got a great scene in the kitchen. We've got Alan and Amy, and I clipped the whole thing because this is all of the Alan and Amy we get in the episode.
Last night at Chubby's, Shawn was out with this pig.
Hey, I brought you up better than to talk like that.
A real pig. And he really loves it, but Topanga doesn't think he should keep a pig in the apartment, and I kind of took her side.
Oh, well, did you think she was right?
Yeah, but, he's right too.
But you sided with Topanga.
Yeah.
Well, of course he did. He's a guy. What else is he going to do?
He could have told Topanga how he felt.
No, she would have been mad at me.
Well, now Shawn's mad.
Seriously, Cora, if you thought they both were right, you shouldn't have taken sides.
Well, it sounds easy. Why was it so hard?
Well, being caught between your best friend and your girlfriend is tough. You're growing up. It's not always easy in the real world.
I'm going to Yale.
It's a little easier in his world.
I like just the bluntness that comes from Alan there. It's not any sugar-coated, here's what you do. It's just, look, here's the reality. It's not as easy. We get, why didn't you tell Topanga what you feel? What you feel like? Well, it would have made her upset. Well, now Shawn's not happy. It sounds easy. Why is it so hard? It is hard. That's the reality. That's what it's like in the real world. There's simple advice there, but it's not easy. There's simple guidance there, but it's not easy. You just need to be honest.
Yeah. I do love their advice. That's not in this episode long, but it is great advice that they're giving him. Like, hey, you're caught in between your friend and your girlfriend, and that's a really tough place to be in, and it's not easy. And It's not like they can say, this is what you have to do. It's just like, you got to figure out how you're going to handle this, because this is part of real life. But I do love the end of Eric running through. And, they'll be like, except for him.
It's a little easier in his world. Yeah. And when Corey finds Shawn in the cafeteria and he tries to apologize, I really like Shawn's explanation of why little Corey means so much to him. And I clipped it because I wanted to hear Shawn's explanation of why his connection is so important to him.
He's only a pig. Yeah, it's only a pig to you, Topanga, and whoever abandoned him at the trailer park.
How do you know he was abandoned?
The trailer park manager told me his owners just drove off and left him. He's all alone, man. No home, no family, nothing.
Poor guy.
Yeah, I know what he's going through. I've been there. Don't you see?
Yeah, I think I do.
I'm not mad at you. If you took your girlfriend's side, I'd have probably done the same thing.
Pigs and women, man.
Yeah, like my dad always said, they'll both break your heart.
Shawn, it's a recurring theme. We're going to see it through the end of the series, but Shawn knows what it feels like to be abandoned. And he sees himself in the pig, and he sees an opportunity to connect with a kindred spirit. He sees an opportunity to give a fellow soul that's been abandoned a loving home, some sense of permanence, something that he has yearned for and has found some semblance of himself, and he wants to share that. And that's something that Topanga doesn't know. That's something that up to this moment Corey doesn't know. And on some level, Mr. Turner understands, but he doesn't know the full story.
Well, even if he does know the story, it doesn't resonate emotionally with him like it does Shawn.
Yeah. Oh, no. No.
But I mean, he could understand that this is an emotional decision that Shawn has made, and he has to help allow him to work through that.
Yeah. Yeah, completely.
It's complicated.
It is. It's never easy. No, never simple.
He's with some pig. I raised you better than that.
No, real pig. So we're going to head over to Turner's apartment. Corey is he's arranged for Topanga to come see how good a home the apartment is for little Corey. And
what could possibly go wrong?
Oh, of course not. Shawn's, of course, he gives in. He's a little oversensitive because Topanga tries to be helpful. The light's out in the hallway. Get out!
Yeah.
And little Corey disappears. Shawn thinks he dissolved into broth because they left him in the tub. But no, it turns out Topanga left the door open and little Corey escaped.
Which I will say, when you have an animal inside of a place,
Animal of any kind,
you got to shut that door as soon as you get in there.
We have 3 dogs and a cat, and if you leave the door, any door open in our house, the cat and 2 of the 3 dogs will find their way out of that door within seconds.
Yeah.
So any animal, and not just a pig, any animal will find their way out of an open door. So
yes.
You can't just blame the pig. So Shawn's going to go looking for the pig. Corey's going to stay by the phone in case he calls. Funny little moment. Turner comes walking in with the pig in his arm. It was outside heading for the rib shack. And here is where we find out that Topanga knows that she made the right call. She's already called animal control before she came over to see that the apartment was a good home. She did not come over under the right terms. She had already made the call.
Right. Topanga was not acting as Shawn's friend.
Not at all.
Topanga viewed this as she needs to do the best thing for the pig, which she could have had a conversation with her quote-unquote friend, and she didn't. Yeah,
and the only reason I don't view this as completely uncharacteristic for Topanga is through just a little over 2 seasons, we know Topanga is a very nature-minded individual.
Yeah.
And she will put animals very, very high on an importance list. But regardless, she did make the wrong call here. She made the call to animal control before coming over. And so in the process, she lied to Corey as well by coming over under false pretenses.
Yeah.
So,
which honestly, that is a big problem for me in their relationship of her deciding this is what she's going to do and lying to her boyfriend about why she's there.
Yeah.
Again, they're in high school. It's a huge difference if they're adults, but that's not good for a well-balanced relationship.
Yeah, that's definitely not. Learn now, good-looking people, if you are in high school. Don't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So Shawn and Corey are gonna leave because they're gonna try and keep this pig from animal control.
Come on, Shawn. We got some serious pig hiding to do.
Corey is changing which side he's on. He's leaving Topanga in the dust. And Topanga is starting to realize she may have made the wrong call. And Mr. Turner lets Topanga in that in some ways, when you live the life Shawn has lived, he needs the pig more than the pig needs Shawn. And so we're going to transition over to the opera. Eric is not enjoying himself.
What teenage boy would who's not musically inclined?
Yes.
I can think of a handful of guys that I've known over the years as a teenager would be interested in the opera because of the musicness of it all. Mm-hmm. But if you put someone like me in the opera, I was going to be like, boring.
I love all kinds of music, and I don't know that I would have been able to sit through a traditional opera setting in high school. And I love almost all kinds of music. Like, I mean, just for instance, Mr. Feeny, I'm dying. We've been here for like 2 hours. It's been 10 minutes.
Oh, but we've been that Feeny in those moments of just like, hey, seriously, I'm doing this for you.
Yeah.
Stop complaining.
Yeah. So Mr. Feeny's going to reveal why he is here with Eric. And I clipped this as well.
I'm fatter than you are. I'm fatter than you are.
Mr. Matthews, hush.
Mr. Feeny, I appreciate you helping me get into Yale and everything.
Oh, Mr. Matthews, I couldn't get you into Yale. I couldn't get you into a Yale sweatshirt.
Oh, well, excuse me, mister. I'll just take the tickets and then not complete the other half of the deal.
The only deal I've ever made with you is to be your teacher and friend. And with that, the responsibility to help make you a better person.
Mr. Feeny, I don't want to be a better person. I just want to party with the girl on the raft.
Yes, well, you won't be doing that at Yale.
So I came here for nothing.
Mr. Feeny reveals that he has promised to be a friend to Eric here. Not just a mentor, a guide, but he's promised to be a friend to Eric here. And we're seeing more of the building blocks to what we'll see throughout the entire series, but we're really seeing this relationship take shape. And so this conversation continues that this is a nice plan for Mr. Feeny, but this kind of thing Eric feels is lost on him until he hears some music he recognizes. It's a piece by Wagner, but he knows it from a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
Yeah.
And that gets him interested.
There's so many beautiful classic songs out there that without something to connect you to that emotion, it can feel like it doesn't fit. So for him, yeah, you need something that you've heard before, something you have an emotional connection to then connect to the actual music.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah. And so while Eric's enjoying the opera finally, we're going to hop over to Corey and Shawn hiding little Corey at the Matthews house. And there's a doorbell. And we're going to open the door and see a familiar face. That's right. Because a gentleman named Victor is at the door, but he looks very familiar. Richard Karn has shown up on Boy Meets World. First and only time we're going to see him. I mentioned stunt casting in November. Here it is. 58 acting credits to Richard's name, including shows like Burke's Law, voice acting on Recess, MVP2, That 70s Show, Air Buddies, Snow Buddies, Last Man Standing, Pen 15, other things, but we all know him and love him as Al Borland from Home Improvement. I don't think so,
Brad.
Yes. But Victor is a very... believes he himself to be overqualified for the job he has with animal control. He's required by law to show his badge. He doesn't have a badge. They don't give them cards. He's very snarky. He's got all kinds of notes on people that he's trying to interact with. Shawn, 5'5". Shawn's not 5'5". That's very short. Shawn's like 5'10".
I don't think he's 5'10" yet.
No, but he's definitely not 5'5".
No, probably
He's
not.
at least 5'8". But he's very snarky, and I mean, it's very hilarious. I didn't clip any of it because I was already getting too much clip, but it's a lot of fun to watch. But either way, you know, Corey and Shawn are getting a little too confident. My dear Shawn, my little Corey, and then little Corey shows up walking down the stairs. I am curious if Topanga called animal control, though. And animal control was supposed to show up at Mr. Turner's apartment looking for the pig. Unless it's because Victor is so thorough. How did he know to show up at the Matthews house?
I mean, if she gave aliases of both Corey and Shawn, and those are the two possible addresses that they could be at.
I mean, he does know that Corey and Topanga have been dating for 2 months. I'm way too qualified for this job.
I just feel like Topanga probably called in an emotional state and gave away probably too much information. He just wrote down everything he could and asked follow-up questions.
Probably. I mean, he does believe himself to be far too qualified. He probably did ask a lot of questions, but
yeah.
I mean, I can make it work pretty easily. It's just, yeah. Hiding the pig at Old McDonald's would be too obvious. Hiding him here is not too obvious. So Victor's not all bad, though. He's willing to slip Shawn a 20-foot boa constrictor under the table.
Where's he getting a boa constrictor that big in Philadelphia?
I don't know. But if the area is not zoned for a pig, where's he gonna? He picked up the boa constrictor from somewhere.
Brett, it's Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. November.
My guess is someone had a boa constrictor that just grew too big and they didn't want it anymore, or it escaped, or they died, and I don't know. It's animal control. But Topanga finally shows up. She found the owner, and in walks Jonathan Turner.
Real quick, I will tell you that Ryder Strong is apparently 5'8".
I was right, 5'8".
Ben Savage is also apparently 5'8". Will Friedle, 5'9". Daniel Fishel as 5'1".
That's a big gap.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense why you feel like Corey and Shawn are so tall is because they're trying to make sure that you don't lose track of Topanga.
Yeah. So Turner comes in. He's pretending to be a farmer outside of town, and little Corey escaped from the farm, and you get a little sarcasm between him and Victor. And he finally turns the pig over to Turner, and we get a nice little moment between Shawn and Topanga where Topanga lets Shawn know that she's known Shawn just as long as she's known Corey. And he's not just her boyfriend's friend, he's her friend too. And it's kind of an apology to him for how she's behaved.
Yeah, her and Zed are good friends.
Yeah.
Topanga needed to have a moment with Shawn of understanding him better, and the two of them need to actually try to be friends outside of just Corey.
They do, yeah. And we'll see some of those moments throughout the series, especially in a couple of seasons, around mid through season 5 is one of the ones that really stands out to me when Shawn will get chickenpox. But
I don't want to die.
But we'll get there, good-looking people. And so we'll get to the tag. It's the end of the opera. There have been 10 curtain calls. Eric just can't get enough. Feeny wants to go home. And now that Eric has had this opera experience. When he meets a girl who enjoys it, he'll have something to connect with her. And there's these other things that, art museums and other things that Mr. Feeny will take Eric to so that he can experience them and have those connection points. Just go home. But Mr. Feeny, there's more. Wait, who's that fat woman? Okay, we can go home now.
Yeah. Not until the fat lady sings.
That's right, good-looking people. And that is This Little Piggy.
Yes, it is.
So,
I gotta say, Brett, I'm amazed in the fact for Eric of this night turning around for him and almost having switched energies with Mr. Feeny of excited and happy, and Feeny's tired, exhausted, and over it.
It's a fun change, yeah.
Yeah, it does give credence to Eric being interested in things other than just sports and girls. He can have interest in art. Just because he doesn't do the art doesn't mean he doesn't enjoy it and emotionally connect to it.
Yep.
We'll get to that later on.
Oh, yes.
Good looking people.
We will definitely get to that. So, now that we've talked about This Little Piggy, let's talk about some of the deep dives that may have elicited from Tyler.
People. Am I the only one who read the summer reading list?
Alrighty, so first of all, let's go ahead and start with pigs. And can you actually have them in an apartment? So from an article I found, it's important that you are in a stable long-term living situation that is appropriate for a pig before you decide to adopt. Apartments are generally not suitable for pigs, especially if they lack first floor access. Stairs are dangerous for them, and they all need plenty of outdoor time. Pigs who are unable to go outside will become bored and leading to destructive and other behavior and health problems. RV living is also generally a bad fit for pigs. So, recommendation would be you probably shouldn't have a pig inside an apartment or any sort of confined space. You need to leave them outside and let them be pigs. My family has pigs. We have pigs with other families. We've been doing it for years. Now, I will say these are not pet pigs. They are pigs for meats, and it is very important that they have a good life while they are alive, and that they're taken care of, and that they are fed well, and they have time to just live and to be. And, we are very thankful for the fact that we were able to do this and have good, well-fed, well-taken care of pig meat. And every single time that we get new pigs, I always make sure that we go and see them and that, we appreciate them while they're alive and also specifically after they have passed, because they provide a lot for our families. So here are just some fun facts about pigs. Pigs are very clean animals. Didn't know that. Pigs can't sweat. Pigs are smarter than dogs. Mother pigs sing to their babies. Pigs love belly rubs. Pigs are excellent sense of direction. Pigs dream and like to sleep nose to nose. That's adorable. Pigs have excellent memories. Pigs suffer immensely on factory farms. That's a shame, and I don't like factory farms. Pigs are deserving of good life. I agree completely. Yeah, one of the reasons that pigs are often seen as being covered in mud is because they need that in order to survive the sun, and they need some sort of shading so that way they can not overheat and also be able to just be comfortable. And I agree, they are quite smart, intelligent animals, so I think they're both adorable, but also they're quite yummy, so it's just part of life. So, and I understand that some people might not like that. Yale, or Yale-ey, as Eric described it. Founded in 1701, Yale has been dedicated to expanding and sharing knowledge, inspiring, innovating, and preserving culture and scientific information for future generations. It's located in New Haven, Connecticut. The president currently is Peter Salvi. It is the 23rd president. I was trying to look up how many people on average that they actually admit, but I could not find that. Ivy League IvyLeagueCoach.com. So Ivy League admission statistics, overall rating of the Ivy Leagues. Brown is 6.6, Columbia 5.1, Cornell 10.6, Dartmouth is 7.9, Harvard is 4.5, Penn is 7.4, Princeton is 5.8, and Yale is 5.9. That is quite fascinating. Yale, Princeton, Harvard, and Columbia are like the two is most competitive as far as acceptance rates are concerned. I'm not sure what it was in the 90s. There's no way that he would have been accepted into Harvard or Yale, and we all know that. Although it's interesting that Yale has been brought up multiple times at this point. So a book that he brings up is What to Expect When You're Raising a Pig, which is a play on a famous book called What to Expect When You're Expecting. It's a guide for new moms or new parents in general. New York Times bestsellers list is on the 25 most influential books of the past 25 years. Essentially, it's just kind of a rough, hey, here are the things you should know. Here are the things to expect. Written by Heidi Markoff. And from my understanding, she's not like an expert in like parenting. It's just she realized there was a need for information, and she recruited some people to help her and collaborated with journalists and nurses, and basically just to make the best and get the most information out there to help young moms and young families. So What to Expect When You're Expecting. And also it was turned into a movie in 2012. And I gotta say, it is not bad. Oh, it did come out in 1984. The book did, sorry. And then the movie, 2012. Lots and lots of people in this movie. Actually grossed 84 million. That's actually not too bad for this type of movie. Let's talk about Ride of the Valkyries. William Richard Wagner, born May 22, 1813. And passed February 13th, 1883, German composer, theater director, poemist, and conductor who is chiefly known for his opera. He has written a lot of influential music and still used today, and also very well known by people even who are not into musicals or orchestras. Ride of the Valkyries is probably one of his most famous, if not the most famous, songs he's ever written. It's actually part of a 3-act story. First, the beginning of Act 3 of Dein Wagner, the second of 4 epic music dramas constituting Richard Wagner's Per Ring des Nibelungen? I don't know. As a separate piece of the ride is often heard in purely instrumental versions, which may also be shortened as 3 minutes together. The bridal chorus and Lorgen. The Ride of the Valkyrie is one of the most well-known pieces of Wagner. It's also spelled with a W, but the way the Germans do it, it's sounded out with like a V. Different times this has been used throughout the years. Ride of the Valkyrie, Birth of the Nation in 1915, Scarlet Empress in 1934, The Lion Man in 1936, Red River Valley 1941, 8 1/2, 1963, no idea what that's all about, Mendoza Tarso 1969, The Obscure Object of Desire in 1977, Seven Beauties, 1975, Apocalypse Now, 1979. That's probably the most well-known one so far. The Blues Brothers, 1980. I know that's one of Brett's. The Running Man, 1987, another famous movie. 24-Hour Party People. I don't know what that one is. 2002. Jarhead, 2005. I remember that one back in the day. Norbit. Gross, 2007. Valkyrie, 2008. That's That's an interesting one. Watchmen, 2009. That's a good movie. Rango, 2011. Florence Foster Jenkins, not sure what that is, 2016. And the last one that's popping up right now is Wrath of Man, 2021. Also, apparently, Army of Thieves, not sure what that is about, 2021 as well. So, for lack of better wording, this piece of music is very popular, and it's something that has endured for a long time, and that's just incredible that something that was written so long ago can still be a part of the zeitgeist. And didn't get to talk about Bugs Bunny using it. Brett, those are the deep dives.
So let's talk about what we learned.
You know anything about the Odyssey? Huh? Did I say you could talk?
I didn't teach you that.
My friend Mr. Matthews will lead the discussion.
Do I have to draw you a picture?
Tyler, what did you learn from this little piggy?
I think one of the things I learned, just mostly as a parent, in the small little bits I had, Amy and Alan do a really good job this episode of listening and following up on, helping their kid give more information to help them get the right answer. Mm-hmm. Because ultimately, they're not going to tell Corey this is how you should handle this. They are primarily there to try to help guide him to what needs to be the right answer. Mm-hmm. And to embrace whatever answer he gives. If he decides to take a side, he's got to stick to that side, and to believe fully in that. And I like that he's like, well, this is a tough situation. It's like, yeah, well, so's the real world. Like, this is part of the real world, is that you have to make choices and live with those choices, Mm-hmm. And, I think you and I both know, Brett, that we've had to make choices for friendships. And, some people that we thought we would always be friends with, we're not really close with anymore, because we've had to make other choices. Mm-hmm. The choice to spend more time with my sons than, say, spend time with a buddy is a choice I'll make every day, because I want to be with my kids and I want them for me to be a part of their life. Mm-hmm. So it's just a matter of that you have to make choices and live with those choices.
Yep. Yeah, and my lesson is that, especially as a parent, there will be times when your child or perhaps your friend is going to have something that they need to do that you might disagree with, or you might just not understand. But because of where they're at emotionally, or just where they're at in their life situation, they need to do for their own emotional health, for their own mental health, just as a way to connect for them. And you need to be big enough, you need to be loving enough to let them do that. In Shawn's case, it was to take in a pig. You need to understand that. You need to make sure that it's safe. You need to, don't let them be dangerous and, potentially put themselves or other people in danger. Mm-hmm. But if you don't understand it, take the time to understand it. Jonathan gave a great example of what it means to let someone do what they need to do there. He knew Shawn needed something. He let Shawn do that. He wanted nothing to do with the pig, but he let Shawn do that because he knew he needed it. Mm-hmm. Topanga showed us what someone needs to not do. She inserted herself into a situation she didn't need to be in. She saw someone she didn't realize that he was hurting and needed something. All she saw was what she wanted to see. And instead of talking to him and finding out why he was doing something she disagreed with, she put herself in and put her own thoughts in there, her own expectations in there. So as someone who, whether you're a parent, whether you're just a friend, be that person who's going to seek to understand and give grace and give space where it's needed. So, Tyler.
I'm right?
No, you're exactly right.
So am I done with my education? Can I go?
What do you grade this Little Piggy?
I mean, it feels weird to say this, but this is as average of an episode as Boy Meets World can have. Like, it wasn't fire trash. Like, I said that the story was simple, but it doesn't mean that it was bad. And it doesn't mean that things weren't really good at certain spots. Like I said, the advice that Amy and Alan gave was terrific. And even the way that Corey dealt with this stuff is terrific. And, you know, Eric going to the opera was awesome with Feeny. But yeah, I got to give this one just a straight up C. It is what it is. It's right down the middle, as middle as it can be. It was both not amazing, but also it was not fire trash. So it was just a straight down the middle, basic episode.
Yep. I like that analogy. Right down the middle. C is right where I had it. It's pretty average. It's got a good message. It teaches a good solid principle, and you know, it's not bad, it's not standout, it's an average episode.
Yeah, it's not one that I'd avoid. Like, if we're doing a marathon, like we'll put this one on, but it's also not one that I'm like, this is the one we gotta watch.
Yeah, it's not one I seek out, but it's not one that I skip either.
Yeah.
So, before we go, I've got a dad joke for you.
Hit me, baby, one more time.
What kind of exercise do lazy people do?
To the fridge and back.
Diddly squats.
Very nice.
So, good-looking people, that's all we got for you this week. We thank you for checking us out and giving us a listen. And we invite you to check us out online at our social profiles at Dads Meet World, at Facebook, at Instagram, on Twitter /X. Send us an email at dadsmeetworld@gmail.com. And if you find us on Apple Podcasts, you can give us a 5-star review and a rating. And that helps us other people to find us. And if you find us on YouTube, leave some comments, some likes. That'll help other people find us too. We respond. We answer emails, read them on the air. We'd love to have more interactions with you.
Yeah, tell us what's going on. We know you're out there.
Yeah, and if you like us enough and you want to wear our faces on you or put stickers of us on and our show on stuff, we got a shop with all kinds of swag. dadsmeetworld.threadless.com. Great stuff there.
Hey, these t-shirts are comfy. I'll tell you that much. I actually really enjoy wearing my hoodie and my sweatshirt. Like my hoodie and my shirt. Like I prefer to wear them over almost any other clothing I've got.
They are very comfy. I wear mine a lot. Well, until next time, good-looking people. And Tyler, dad number 2.
They want you to take the roles!
See you, good looking.
I'll see you.
They want you to take the roles.
You know, how can I learn so much every week and still be so stupid?
You can find Dads Meet World on Facebook, Twitter, and probably a few other places just by searching for Dads Meet World. Dads Meet World is a production of Head First Studios. Head First Studios. Tell your story.
Let's back up for a second. Actually, let's see. And hopefully you'll cut this part out.